Well, welcome to New Game Plus. You're listening to a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name's Kenny.
Nolan here.
And you are listening to and or watching episode 257.
And you're subscribed to our YouTube, right?
That's
no?
what's up.
Knuckle Sandwich.
And our Discord, because we've got to get 500, please.
Yeah, we have to get to 500, guys. Come on.
I think that there are some new consoles or something that are going out to the world. Xbox. Well, we don't care about new.
No, in 15 years, we can talk about the PS5 release.
No, I care about it.
What about the Xbox Series Xbox?
Who cares? No one.
Oh, well, they do care.
No.
So PS5 is starting to go out. You'll get one eventually, I would imagine, Nolan, although you haven't used your PS4 or sent it to me to be able to play games. But
because
I do
you have one,
now.
and I will get one maybe this year. If I can find one.
Ooh.
Well, listen. Demon Souls launch title. It looks stupid, guys. It looks amazing. I have to play it.
I thought Demon Souls already came out.
Yeah, this is a remake. Are you trying to educate people slyly?
No.
Okay.
Kenny, you don't play video games, but you don't have new consoles.
He doesn't.
I have a Switch and I have an Xbox.
He plays Hades.
Wait, you have an Xbox?
The latest one.
The original one.
It's like I have a Nintendo.
Do you really?
I just have an Xbox.
Like an Xbox One?
Xbox One?
An Xbox One, yeah.
Why do you have that?
Okay.
Did
Mr.
your wife
Fancy
get you
Pants?
that thinking that you would like it? It's like, oh, video games will like it.
We've always used consoles as sort of
Netflix.
media hubs. Yeah, like we watch Netflix, we play DVDs on it, occasional gaming.
It's an expensive
Like I'll watch some
Netflix.
streaming stuff. It is. But like $35 for a Roku or buy a whole gaming client.
Or $500.
I mean, this is an easy choice, right?
I hate the way it looks. The PlayStation 5, though, I still do not like it.
Great.
No, it's so ugly.
No, it's not.
terrible.
Dustin, it
it's
is
really
not.
awful.
That's just memes.
No, it's not just memes.
It's awful.
It looks like it's doing a white Batman cosplay or a router. That's what it's cosplaying as. Just make it a black box. Xbox looks cool.
No, that's what Xbox did.
Oh no, their vibe is perfect.
It looks
Xbox
great.
Nailed it.
I just
No,
don't care about their
They're
games.
so much cleaner.
They're going futuristic, guys. We're going alien with it.
No, it's bad.
What I'm more excited about in related to news this last week is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition that has been announced.
Yeah.
Nolan, you played Mass Effect, some of them, correct?
I want the first one. Well,
The first one.
there's
a
some
little bit?
trauma there, but yes, just the first
Oh,
one.
yeah, I just
Yes.
remembered your
So this is
saved
actually really
game.
good news for me. Go ahead.
Your saved game deleted?
Yeah, it's corrupted, and I was at the end of the game, and I never beat it.
Oh, no. Kenny, you haven't? Which is why you
No, I haven't.
You would enjoy it?
Probably.
Yeah, you would.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition, it's going to be on these new consoles. It will include an all-new remastered and optimized for 4K Ultra HD Mass Effect 2, and Mass Effect 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, additionally, BioWare announced that they are hard at work on the next chapter in the Mass Effect universe.
Did Andromeda suck?
By a lot of people's standards, I have not yet beaten it, but it's still on my desktop because I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It is very different from Mass Effect 1 through 3, however.
That's cool. I didn't know that copy had 3 games in it, because that's important because you can carry your character over. In fact, you would if you were playing through them. So that's nice. I thought it was just the first game remastered or something.
Yeah, no, 1 through 3, which will be the most improvements for 1, which you can come back to now, Nolan. And
Yeah,
not feel
I
bad
will.
About it.
I want it.
The series already looked amazing. Making it 4K HD Ultra Extra is going to be
please.
even better.
That means nothing.
But I'm even more excited for another entry in the universe. I'm glad they're not done with it. BioWare can do great with it, or they can royally screw it up, So totally in their totally on them. But as long as they don't change much and they do keep the spirit of the franchise, then I'm down.
Okay, the little double.
Yo.
Like in our retro game of the week, Shaman King, Master of Spirits.
Overview.
Yo, Shaman King, Master of Spirits. It was published by Konami. That's the name you'll recognize. It was actually developed by KCEJ. I think that's still Konami.
That's the name I recognize, KCEJ.
That's your rap name? I think that's still Konami. Maybe.
Sounds like a public radio station.
I can
And
actually
you're
find out
listening
right
to
now.
KCEJ.
I think it stands for Konami Computer Entertainment Japan.
Oh, wow. You're so right, I think. Okay,
no,
so...
I just made that up. I promise you, just completely made that
No,
up.
I think that's so right. So, thanks. It was developed and published by Konami. I'm just going to commit to that. It was a Game Boy Advance game, which is hype. I always love a good GBA title. I never heard of this one. It did come out in 2004, which was the era that I was obsessed with it, but I don't know. I didn't hear about this game. Probably because it's a freaking anime. So, we have an anime game this week.
But you more anime than either Kenny or I, correct?
The big ones, yes. I've watched Brotherhood. I've watched Death Note. But I'm so far away from a weeb status, it's not even funny.
And Kenny, you haven't done a single anime?
I mean, not like all together. You can't not have seen some amount of anime in the world.
You've seen DBZ.
Yeah, I've like had episodes of that on other people's lives that I've been around, but I have never
not
chosen to consume anime
Every
myself.
answer of Kenny's is just so convoluted.
It's so
that really famous princess one. I think I watched back in like 4th grade.
Princess Mononoke.
Princess Mononoke or whatever.
Mononoke.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe you're more adept with anime than even I am, because I have done so little. I never did it growing up. My brother did, but I think when it came over to the States, Kenny and I mean, we were a little bit older than what the general populace was at that time that was taking in that content. And then, so in later years, even recent years, I've tried to go back and watch some. Nolan, you even suggested to me Brotherhood. Yeah. And then I've done some Dragon Ball Z and like the first arc of that. There are some others that I want to get into. I have thoroughly enjoyed Avatar, but that's apparently not anime.
Some people think it's not. It's kind of not.
I don't consider it anime.
Yeah, it's a weird
anime.
category.
It's anime-esque.
Yeah,
but
right.
None of us watched Shaman King, correct?
No, I don't even know what Shaman King is about, but it looks like, any of those other ones. Like, I know a popular one right now, or I don't know if it's right now or if it was popular in the past, is called Hunter x Hunter. That's what this cover reminds me of, and it just kind of looks like the standard anime show or manga. Is it manga?
Yeah.
Mango. So this is a Metroidvania style game, which is even weirder because to me, when I think of Metroidvania as a genre, I know the games. Like I can, it's usually Castlevania or Metroid.
Or Metroid.
But I like know them by title. Like Aria of Sorrow, I'm aware of. Or like, I don't know, Hollow Knight is a newer one.
True.
So it's just kind of weird that like a Metroidvania on the GBA slipped past me. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. But I probably saw anime and I was like, no.
You're not joking though with the majority of Metroidvania games either being Metroid or Castlevania. It really is. There are a few that did something similar. You're good to name Hollow Knight, but then there are, I think, a couple that straight up copy pasted, maybe with a few enhancements or advancements, and this is most certainly one of them.
I will say that any like Metroidvania style that is not a Metroid game or a Castlevania game lean heavier on one of those spectrums. This one leans heavier on Castlevania than it does Metroid. Like way
There's
hard.
a few things that are a little unique. It's a little bit more RPG-ish than some of those classic titles, I think. But it's overtly an homage to that genre.
Yeah, and like we played a Castlevania GBA game, and it was RPG-ish too. It was like Symphony of the Night. That's what Dustin kept saying the whole time.
That was GBA?
Yeah. So Aria of Sorrow, but we played the other one.
You're not. Symphony of the Night was not though.
No, that was PlayStation.
Okay.
It's just
Gotcha.
that they were RPG like Soten was RPG. Like they introduced leveling and stuff like that. Anyways,
Circle of the Moon.
Circle of the Moon. Yeah, that sounds right. That is a game. I don't know if that's the one we played, but
that is.
You're with this game, you're traversing through a map, like a map. You're looking at a map of levels that play out like a Castlevania GBA game. You're hacking and slashing, you're leveling up, you're getting new abilities like power-ups and stuff, and kind of customizing your experience through the game. And yeah, it's a lot of Castlevania stuff going on.
You've got to tell us a little bit about the anime story.
Oh,
yeah, there's some plot that's real top-notch here.
The first half hour of my first play was the plot.
I got so mad watching that.
It only was a half hour because you decided to read every single voice.
Kenny skips them.
Slowly and out loud. Just read them.
Kenny, you skipped it.
People can read faster than they
listen. No. Kenny skips all story, dialogue, all of that. I don't. And
this guy has a booktube channel. He can't not read
That's
this
what's
story.
up, Dragon Army. All right.
That's what's up. Okay, so the plot only really makes sense to people that know the show, I guess. And anyways, you have to know all these characters because it really does just introduce like 10 characters to you in the game, and they're already friends and talking and have relationships, and you're like,
one after another, just like drops you into their conversation.
So many.
Yo, listen up. Yo is the main character. The protagonist, if you will. And it's the most standard cookie cutter thing. He's teaming up with his friends to stop a weirdo from resurrecting Satan. It's very kind of emo and dark and weird, but that's the plot. I mean, I don't know much outside of that.
That was summed up.
Sure, but the big thing about Shaman King is that there are spirits that they can keep as not like pet. I mean, kind of like Pokemon or pets. Things that then empower them and allow them to use unique abilities either in combat or in maneuvering around the world.
Yes, and there's a tournament.
Right, they're in the middle of this tournament. I think that's the bigger like anime story. That's what's happening. That gets interrupted with this little side story. The bad guy shows up and is trying to resurrect the actual big bad guy by using this book. The pages of the book get scattered to the four winds somehow, which is the most unrealistic thing. Like they're just fighting over this book and it gets pulled apart, and then the pages are all over the map, scattered across the world, and you have to go collect these pages before the bad guy can, or else bad things happen.
The weebs are coming for us.
Two things. No, that's good. Two things. The story would have been so much simpler if they would have just looked around the dojo at that point and picked up all the pieces of paper that had just fallen out of the book.
True.
Number two, it's bad when Kenny has to tell the story to you, Nolan.
Yeah, it's bad.
Gameplay.
As mentioned, there is this overworld map. So that is immediately something that is different from Castlevania and Metroid. The stages are separate here. It's not just one fluid world. You're on an overworld map. Dots are new areas, new stages. Once you get to a dot, you enter into a side-scrolling left to right to left platforming stage area where there are enemies to fight and items or new abilities to collect, and you're just doing that over and over again. How it is Castlevania is that some areas are off limits to you at first. One of the ways that is done is there are boxes that you can't possibly push, so you have to find the ability in order to push the boxes. There are little towers of flames that you can't get by until you ice down the flames. And notably is that there's one area that if you walk into prematurely, I would imagine Kenny did this.
Oh, I died.
Yeah,
you
he did.
die within a second.
I died so hard. And this game, it gives you the ability to save the game, but it doesn't give you like continues. If you die at any point in this game, your game's just over. And so if you've started this game, gone through all of that 42 different people talking dialogue to set up the plot, and then go to one of 4, which is like really high odds of seeing it and trying it out. One of 4 places that you have available to you on the map, and hop in. Your character just instantly dies.
That was
and then
weird.
One of the other places you can go is no, 2 of the other places you can go are blocked, so you can't continue. It seems like there's going to be this giant like open world full of choices, and it's like, nah, bro, you can go one place, and it actually gets really linear for a little while, even though there's this big open world. It's kind of annoying early.
That's the Metroid part of the Vania coming into play. The blocking off of areas. You have to come back when you get a power up. What is kind of cool though about that map view is that when you do finally pick the right one that you can go at the beginning, it starts to do this branching thing. And I love Dustin's reaction in the first play when he saw that, because I did the same thing. Like, you beat a stage and then 2 paths or 3 paths open to you, and you're like, okay, so now I can go to any of them. And I guess it opens up a little more. I didn't get through the whole game, but I thought that was kind of a unique way to give the illusion of a massive castle, like in Castlevania, where you explore it and you find new areas, but instead they did it stage based and then kind of let you pick. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot. What I didn't like was when I discovered that once you go back to an area you've already been to, that it's not like it's checked off and then you can just move on to somewhere new. Because partly they're trying to do this whole Castlevania thing, and in places you need to go back to like unlock something or find an explorable that you didn't find the first time, it puts you back into that level. Although kind of interesting from the other side of the right to, you're going right to left instead of left to right, which is kind of cool.
Oh,
yeah, it's really cool. And in a few places you can even go that direction where they wouldn't let you go the other direction by how they set up the level. So that was kind of neat. But you're forced to go back and re-platform through every single one of those levels, at least early in the game. My understanding is that like way later that changes. You get a skill that helps you manage that, but I never got that far. And that was a little bit frustrating to me. Kind of like a cool concept, but oppressive.
I know what you're thinking, Nolan, because Nolan's thinking right now that that's exactly what Castlevania is. Maybe you just don't feel it as much because you're not going to this overworld map. But there are many times where you're having to go through the same room, the library, the clock room, the whatever. You're having to go through that room again to get to new areas. So I get that, but I do think it was more laborious here because you are having to immediately go back through maybe a difficult area or an area that you had just completed. If you get to a dead end and have to turn around to go, or like I went all the way north through 3 or 4 stages, got an ability that I knew I had to go all the way back down to the south. I had to go back through so many stages.
3 other places that you have to go that are scattered to the 4 winds.
And once you complete a stage, if you get the items there, you don't need to go through it again because you're not getting experience from fighting enemies. And if you already found the collectibles, there's really no reason to go back through. So it's really just kind of somewhat of a waste of time because you're just running from one side of the stage to the other. You can fight, or you could pretty much just kind of jump. There's this. Most of the stages are kind of layered. You have some platforms that can take you high. You can go down low. There are some that even you can like press up at a sewer door and go down into the sewers. Like there's some areas like that. But yeah, I found that really tedious. And you mentioned that there's a spirit that later on allows you to maybe fast travel a little bit, but that is a long ways away. You're going to be doing the majority of the game.
That's like near the end game. You're trekking and retrekking at least through all the early experience of this game.
Well, it didn't bother Nolan though.
No. Well, no, it kind of did. I'm going to explain why. And why it doesn't in Castlevania. Or like most Castlevania games. Because this game, it was harder to skip enemies. It was harder to skip content. You mentioned that you can take the different pathing and maybe skip some enemies, but the sprites are kind of big. It's GBA, and so you have to remember, like, the sprites are fairly large, and some of the enemies are, and it makes it hard to skip them, where in Castlevania, you can, like, kind of dash your way through a backtrack area and maybe not kill the same enemies that you killed. A lot of the enemies in Castlevania are, like, flying bats, and so you can just run. So I think it's like that's what y'all are feeling.
Dungeon. Yeah, like sometimes it's going through 1 or 2 rooms. It's not backtracking through an entire map. And so I think they were trying to like pull out something that works when it's sort of dungeon based, and when you make it map based, it just doesn't work nearly as well. If you had the option, like go back in or don't,
yeah, I was
where
gonna say
you
that.
wanted to go back in just to like get something you missed or find something, but you also could just have passed straight through it. If it let you have the choice, it would have been fine. Yeah,
that's it. And maybe even only allow that after you've 100%ed that area. Maybe even there, because one of the things that frustrates me is that where Castlevania Symphony of the Night, one of my favorite games, is now is a completionist dream, and I believe that I said that when we recorded the episode. This is a completionist nightmare because there's not much to collect. Really, you're only needing spirits. You can get pieces to get a health upgrade or different things, but really you're just getting these spirit abilities. But I would imagine that there are many that are missable, and you can't really keep track of them. You don't know if you full cleared a stage, and some of them are hidden. And so
it gives you a percentage meter, but it doesn't give you any indication of in one of your menus, but it doesn't give you any indication of where that.
What does that mean? Yeah.
What that applies to. So you don't know how far you should be. It's not like a
but I do like that. If there was something that you could do that could clear a stage and allow you to select if you would like to go back there, that's really smart and would have solved so much here. Now, we've talked about these spirits, right? One of the things that is unique here, or maybe even an expansion of Castlevania, is that you've got these varied abilities, but you're able to put them together on decks. And I believe, do you have 5 decks? Is that what you end up having?
I think 4. I know you have at least the number 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if you have like a 0. If I don't think there's a 5th one though.
You definitely don't have a 0. Okay, so either 4 decks.
There's a lot of things that count that way.
Yeah, not this.
Right.
There are either 4 or 5 decks, and what that means is that it's a setup. You're able to set up, customize which spirits you have on which deck. So, for example, on deck 1, at the beginning, I can have a couple of my spirit abilities set to my right bumper,
trigger.
Trigger, bumper, whatever.
And then you can kind of, the cool thing is you can also kind of equip some passive spirits on your head. Well, when I picked up, I don't remember what it was, like a left bracer or a left glove or something, and realized that now I can add another spirit ability to my L trigger. And then I picked up shoes later, and I could put another passive on armor pieces. That was 6. So you've got 4 or 5 decks, but on each deck, you end up having 4 or 5 slots that you can put these spirits and use them on the fly.
Yeah. 2 things there. One, the quick swap of entire setups is genius. You know,
quick swap, you still have to go in the menu, right? I never found a way to do it.
So select, bump to your pages.
I tried to do select
automatically.
That's brilliant.
So nice.
It's so good. So you can preset these sort of modes of play up. Like in my case, I tended to do one that was for like fighting enemies and one that was like utility
functional,
stuff.
Yes.
If I needed to move things around. And then as you got later in the game, I'd have done even more. One that's like passive combat where like all your stats are buffed.
One's for boss
clearing
fights.
like little guys. Yeah. So you can set up all these pages, swap through them pretty quick. Genius.
He's excited.
Yeah, so that was really, really, really well done. There were a few things about like how they set up their UI on the flip side that I didn't like.
It was so GBA.
User interface kinds of things. So like the fact that your items were different sizes, so they could actually take up different amounts of slots, even though you had a set amount of slots, was super cheesy to me. The fact that, and this one actually made me irrationally angry, the fact that your health bar grows, but then doesn't grow by just giving you more HP and still letting your bar represent 0 to 100%, but that your bar actually then breaks down to another bar. It's like if you want to do that, you do hearts or you do an icon. The fact that it's a bar, but then grows to another additional bigger bar was, oh man, it made me so angry. That's stupid. That's the most ridiculous thing you could do, especially when then you're like your SP, your magic power, they just give you like number icons to represent it. They don't. It was just, they did some really weird things but then they did some really brilliant things.
The spirit system reminded me of the like cards from Circle of the Moon, the Game Boy Advance game that we
Absolutely.
played. But this was
That's
better.
what it is.
This was much better because of the cycling.
Agreed.
But also because of the actual abilities that you're getting. So many of the ones in Circle of the Moon were garbage, and you're like, I'm never going to use this. This one, I love that there are straight utility spirits, like the push one. That's the first one that you get. That's like you need
Big
to push.
thumb.
I like the idea
again.
of them. I don't like how they implemented them.
They maybe could have done
cheesy and
something more
forced
creative in the stage with it, but I do like that they had utility ones that were straight up for that, and then they had like some really sick ones that would like look like when you use them, it would do one of those like anime like shing, like well, I guess all of them did that, where it like shows the character and then you do the slash.
Like you're like an overlay type thing that takes up a fraction of the screen. Yeah.
It is very cool, and it also showed off the cast of characters, because apparently this whole time you're actually traveling with all your friends. It's not just Yo, because every time he talks, 6 other people chime in.
Show up. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, which kind of leads us right into boss battles, because the majority of your fights are your friends, which is kind of interesting. So it does throw all this cast of characters on you at the beginning of the game, but that's kind of nice because when you get to the end of certain stages, your main enemy, the Magister, is there, and he's possessed or convinced one of your friends to fight you. And so you have to fight your friends, and they each have their own abilities that once you, kind of like Mega Man, once you beat them, they gift you their spirit so that then you can progress further.
What about that first one, man? The motorcycle guy, Rio?
Yeah.
He had like the big arm, the big like gun arm thing. It was very anime. That's what I'll say about the boss fights. And even down to the like when you get the final hit, it does the slow-mo.
Yeah.
That was sick and very satisfying.
No, I hate the way they plotted in the fact that you have to fight your friends. Like it was real forced in most of the cases.
It's anime.
But it is. But the fact that you did was super cool, because it gives you a free way to show off all of those skills that people know about the characters that they like or that you're learning through the game. And it lets you, free your friend or do something positive for them, and give you a really cool, diverse set of skills that wouldn't necessarily fit your character, but that they can like lend to you. And I liked their approach there overall.
The final thing I want to say about gameplay is the normal combat, not the spirits, was very good and flowy.
Felt fluid.
Yes, and that's important for me. You also do get this like backdash thing. I was worried that they wouldn't give you a dash or a slide, because I really like that in these games, because he walks kind of slow. But you do get one of those, but like just slashing midair, just ducking and slashing felt very Castlevania, and it felt very natural. I loved it.
It felt good. It was a little repetitive to me. I feel like the non-boss enemies were kind of samey and repetitious, but at least your character, as you learned more skills, if you were willing to like equip different combos of those skills, you got a little bit of variety in what you were doing, which helped there.
I wish the dash was there. There isn't a dash. There's that back dash that your guy in Castlevania has, but I felt it wasn't any faster. There's kind of like a pause between each one that you can do.
It's not great.
And so I didn't love it as much as Alucard. Is that the guy's name?
Alucard, yeah. But it does work in combat if you need to like back up quick.
Yeah, if you need to back up real quick.
You needed a dash or a run.
One of the things that I liked most on those platforming stages, I don't know if y'all caught this. It's the first platformer that I've seen it on, and I would imagine that true platformers, like platform gamers, dislike it, but I thought it was so nice. There's a platforming mechanic here that I wish was in every other platforming game, where when you're at the edge of a platform, you have this half-second stop that protects you from falling off and lets you get your furthest jump. Did either of you notice that? And what did you feel about it?
It messed me up. I hated it.
It was everything to me.
I know, it's because you hate platform. Well,
I just don't want to have to try to make a jump over and over and over again. Not fun to me.
No,
and I'm just used to not having it. So I was just like,
did you notice it, Kenny?
Yeah, it just feels a little artificial right there.
Is.
Like it doesn't. It's not near as fluid. I will say though, I did like that Pits weren't like instant death, which is
I hated
unique,
that too.
and most of them are. I don't know, you probably avoided them enough you may not have even seen it.
I fell in one time and some magic guy lifted me up.
It's
Yeah,
cheating.
you're like characters like main shaman like pulls you back out. You just take a big chunk of damage. It can kill you, but you just take a big chunk of damage instead of like instant dying.
It's a
Which
kid's
especially
game,
on a
man.
game where you've got to manually save and where you're doing a good amount of platform jumping over like slots. Usually it's not.
I forgot to save
It was
often.
kind of nice.
Yeah, I forgot to save often, but I just
Yeah,
never
but
died
you
'cause I was
cheat.
strong.
Aged.
So 2004 is not that long ago. This is definitely in the era of more recent games that
That's
that
true.
we consider retro, but that are less so. And the GBA in general looks nice, usually pretty fluid, small set of controls, but enough buttons to do things. I think the potential for this to just be an easy game to pick up because of when it was and what it was is pretty high. So I didn't feel any real hurdles picking up this game and playing it this week.
Is the save function. I don't know if we've talked about it yet, but if you I mean, I feel like that's an age factor of like, man, I mean, it's a bad idea, but they have to have some other check marks, even if it was like, I don't know, GBA didn't do auto saving, right? So like maybe
really.
after you complete a boss, have
If it
you
like asked
saved?
you, yeah.
Yeah,
or
I think
something, man.
occasional reminders, after boss fights or something would have been nice.
Just
I don't
prompts,
mind
yeah.
it because it's sort of RPG style
But it's
adventure.
kind of
Like
out
you
of
need
the
to do
way.
that, but yeah, it's not a strength of this game for sure.
And it's bad too, because if you don't, like we said, you lose.
You start over.
You lose your progress.
Sure.
And it sucked.
So now, besides that, I think that the art and music are quality, and the environments that you're in are quality. It's we've mentioned a lot Castlevania, and that's reasonable here because there are many areas that are graveyard kind of like chamber type situations that are very comparable to some of the Castlevania games. The thing that is actually nice here, in my opinion, is that you get out of that. It's not only that. Castlevania, eventually, between the games, you can kind of look at one screen to another, and it's a lot of the same. It's pretty, but it's a lot of the same. Same with the music. Here, you get a variety of stages. You get a variety of enemies and bosses. You get a variety of backgrounds, foregrounds. It's even with the music that's playing on the stages, with snow covered mountains and like sandy beaches and sewers, and you get a variety of these things, and so it's not just the same thing the entire time.
Yeah, I'm wondering if like fans of the show would recognize some of the places that you
Some of the
go.
areas,
Maybe, but some of them are just kind of like standard. Oh, it's a snow level, and the backdrop it looks snowy. But I agree.
Pretty.
The variety
It's
was very nice.
It seemed like there was tie-in between characters and locations, some that you probably would have gotten more in the anime. You were in the snow area, and then you fought your friend that has the ice skills.
Yeah.
You were in the skeleton dungeon. You were in the graveyard fighting all the skeletons, and then fought your friend who's like can raise skeletons as his like shaman ability. And so I don't know if there's a whole bunch of that, but it felt
There
like
probably is,
diversity
yeah.
of world and friends are like sort of all part of the lore.
Yeah.
I think that being an anime, they were able to include the art style into the GBA very well. That console just had pretty decent graphics. It's kind of a unique art style because it's 2004, but it's still very pixelated, just because the screen real estate. But I've always loved that style, and they get to pull off some really creative animations. But I thought it was cool that they actually took basically the art from the anime and had it, like when you're talking to a friend, their face shows up. And so it feels immersive if you're a fan of this universe.
Yeah, I'll agree. I thought the visuals were really good. I didn't necessarily think that all the like layouts of the levels were great, but that's more of a gameplay issue than a like how it's aged issue. Yeah, it looked nice.
The music, I had mentioned it earlier. Did y'all like it? Memorable? Something you'd listen to? Put on a playlist?
I did like it. It didn't. I thought it would feel overly anime, like guitars and cheesy rock kind of stuff, and I didn't really feel that too much. I thought it was good.
See, I think they tried to not go over the top too much, and it felt sort of samey and average to me. It wasn't bad music by any means, but I don't feel like I would be remembering or humming like unique melodies or that anything stood out as being exceptional musically. But it wasn't bad. It was good music. I just didn't love it.
Is this anime still relevant?
I don't know what that means.
Good. Anime is
people
animated.
Do people still watch it? Like, is it on air, or is it done, or is the manga still going? Like, I wonder if people would be drawn to this game because of the title itself.
I think Kenny would be a really good person to ask about the Shaman King.
I'm an expert.
I have no idea. I'd imagine it's no longer being created. I will say, though, that there is a Shaman King Master of Spirits 2. So this one was successful enough to get a sequel on the GBA just a year later in 2005.
Dang.
And like most sequels, they expanded on what they were able to do in this first one, and supposedly it's even better. And I believe that even early, there are to help with the world map situation, there are quick jumps. What are those called?
Teleports?
Like fast traveling?
Fast traveling, thank you. There are fast travel stations all throughout the map so that you don't have to travel laboriously back through all the areas that you've already been through.
That's a big help.
There's also the cartridges. The GBA is little cartridges, right?
Tiny.
For $11, you can get one of this original game. Not bad at all. And if you want it brand new in the box, $50. Still not a bad deal at all.
Cheap.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. Does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Anime Kenny, what saith you in the most pretentious ask ever?
I saith that this certainly doesn't need NGP status. It's a good game, probably not great. There's definitely some things that could have been cleaned up quality of life wise. Repetitious fights on some of the samey enemies, back traveling through a lot of these areas like over and over again to get where you're needing to go. And I could get if that was a hurdle for some people. But there's also a lot of enjoyable stuff here. And I thought, even though it needed refining, the story RPG sort of adventure stuff was fun enough. All the spirit system was fun enough that I had a good time playing, and I think most people would enjoy it overall. So a barely yes for me.
That was
New
confusing.
Game Plus.
I thought you were saying no.
I think it was confusing, but I will relate to that. I think this game is good. Good is a good word for it because it's not great. I don't think it's unique enough, or I don't know. There's something here that I think is good, but then the longer you play, you're like, this is kind of the same thing. And there are a few hurdles here of, again, I think it's a long game, and the more you play, the more frustrating it's going to be to have to revisit stage after stage after stage. I thought some of the spirits were great, but I thought others were kind of just one purpose. I really only relied on a handful to get through. I do enjoy the deck system that's going on, and I like the artwork. I like the music. I'm right along with Kenny, and I'm going to tentatively give it my vote for New Game Plus status, saying, hey, try it out, and it's fun. But then let it inspire you to go play some great Castlevania games, because
like Symphony.
like my Symphony of the Night, my favorite game of all time. That's not true. All right, so I also say yes. And Nolan, what do you say?
Yeah, I think it's only a great if you love the anime. Because I think I agree with both of you too. It's fine, and it is fun. I'm a fan of this genre, and I think they pulled off combat well. I love the spirit system. I love that you can cycle through them. That was a very nice quality of life thing that maybe would have even changed my opinion if it wasn't there. But yeah, I think it's fun. But like I do not care at all about these characters or the story. And for some people that might be a problem. For me, I enjoy a nice Metroidvania platformer. So yeah, New Game Plus, sure. I give this a sure.
I was actually kind of intrigued by the characters, enough so that I was like, should I go like see if I would like this anime? It's not that it was like great, but I wouldn't. I don't actually care that much, but I should. Like, I agree. It's pretty shallow story, but I found like it was fun characters overall.
That means that Shaman King, Master of Spirits, is New Game Plus certified. Yeah, sure. We had many of you write in and send your thoughts and commentary on the Retro Game of the Week. Thank you for doing that. We can't include all of those right now, but here are a few. Garlisle said, straight up, it's the discount version of Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. Borrowing tons of ideas, but losing to it in most aspects. That's the one that's also on GBA?
Yeah, that's the one everyone was like, y'all have to play.
Yeah, and we haven't yet, right?
No, we played Circle.
He continues. It controls just a bit worse. The combat's not quite as strong. The level design is weaker. The music's most forgettable. The backtracking hurts. But being a worse version of one of the genre's most beloved titles doesn't mean bad.
Yeah.
A slow start, sure, but further in the stages got more interesting. The enemies more challenging and diverse, and your spirits more interesting. And it was actually quite fun towards the end. The boss fights especially were really well done. If this game started as good as it ended, it'd be fantastic. And it's one of the better anime licensed titles I've encountered, but it's definitely flawed.
That's interesting.
No arguments.
There are a lot of anime titles out there too.
Here's the thing. I'll just say this. Garlisle is our director. He's been a part of the show for a long time now, and he has he's played along and written in for I don't know. I think we're getting close to 100. I might be off, but every single week he's faithful. He should just write in each week and we just read that and that's the episode, because like he kind of always encapsulates our thoughts so well.
Every once in a while I'll like fully disagree with him about something.
Sure. But it's dumb.
Yeah, he's really good at summing stuff up, and this week nailed it. Like, exact explanation.
Guy in the corner said, I didn't spend much time with Shaman King this week. However, I can already see that what I'm going to like about this game and what will likely bug me until the end. This is a Metroidvania with an interesting idea. Instead of making the world one big map, it splits everything into smaller stages. To me, this makes it a little easier to digest. However, you'll be running back and forth between them. A lot. The other big problem I have so far is that the spirits that upgrade Yo's abilities to navigate levels need to be equipped, as opposed to other games where you just have the ability. To push a box, you don't walk into it, you use Big Thumb to move it for you. An interesting idea that seems like it may wear thin later in the game. However, this game does show promise, and at this point gets a weary New Game Plus from me.
Some of those utility spirits reminded me of Jin from Golden Sun, because they serve that same purpose and you have to like equip them. And
I think that was one of the games where I wasn't on the episode and it was just you boys that played.
And it's unfortunate because I think you would have liked it.
Clint said, I come very close to loving this game. Unfortunately, having to physically backtrack through uninspired stages is reminiscent of Arrow the Acrobat.
What?
The controls feel very... I never wanted to hear that name again or think
You
about
almost
that
threw
game
up.
Again. The controls feel very aged, like a classic Mega Man game, whereas you could play Mega Man Zero on the GBA with vastly improved controls. I don't think you need to play this one. It falls a bit too flat on level design and story.
The Mega Man Zero comment is interesting, and I see it, because Zero uses a sword instead of a buster gun, and it kind of did feel like that at times.
Swords are always better than guns. Never bring a gun to a sword fight.
That's true. They'll ban you.
And then we do have Satan's first commentary.
Oh, no.
He said which I guess is the villain of this game.
According to Nolan, at least.
Nolan, with your... Satan said, the only Metroidvania I've played is Metroid. Samus Returns for the 3DS. So going into this game, I have little experience with the genre. I've put a few hours in, and I think this game shows promise. I think the idea of running around and upgrading the main character by picking up spirits is interesting. This mechanic actually reminds me of the old Pokemon games HM system, because you have to collect little creatures that know certain moves or attacks in order to make progress.
Yes.
I also love how smooth the controls are during combat. I never had the urge to rage quit due to some nonsense occurring during the few hours that I played. So far, I've been very pleasantly surprised. My girlfriend used to watch the Shaman King anime in Italian when she was young, but doesn't remember much of the plot because they apparently stopped airing the show in Italian after only a few episodes. What a bummer.
What?
I still have no idea what's going on story-wise, but the game is fun. New Game Plus for me.
Man, it sounds like everyone kind of landed.
Except Quinn.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of in the same thing, that it's sure. Thank you so much for sending in your thoughts and commentary. Again, you can do that each and every week. Send your thoughts to ngppodcast@gmail.com, or do what most of our community does and drop your commentary in the commentary channel on our Discord, and we might just include your thoughts as a part of our episode next week. But for now, we're going to put aside Shaman King Master of Spirits and randomly select the next retro game of the week from our retro master list. User submitted, thousands of titles.
Millions.
Randomly selecting, I would say it's close to billions.
He's waiting on you to say randomly selecting.
I know, but like, we're in the middle of something. Randomly selecting now.
He was gonna pull the spin lever.
I was spinning the big wheel. You can't yell at me for forgetting we're on video and then do video interactive things and be upset by it.
You speak Kenny, Dustin. You
know what this means? This means stop.
No, this means I'm grabbing a
I
handle.
knew exactly what he was doing.
I didn't like. Yeah.
He was waiting on you to say it so he could go.
Grabbing a handle to spin the big wheel. That's
This is stop.
We're staying on handheld.
Really?
But we are doing the opposite of advancing.
Devancing?
Devancing. And we're moving from the Game Boy Advance to the Game Boy. 1991.
I like that.
Developed by Real Time Associates, published by Spectrum.
The internet company?
The internet company, I don't know.
Dang. Thanks, guys.
Spectrum Holobyte. It is a Tetris offshoot.
Ooh. I mean, Tetris is great. So that maybe could be good or could be really terrible.
The object of the game is to build words of 3 letters or more using the titles that fall.
I like word games. I don't think we've played like a word puzzle yet.
There's reason for that, Kenny.
You say that. You've played so many word puzzles in your games and like typing things, and you love in your games, in your day.
In your game time.
Inside your games, you like playing other word-related games.
Find a copy of Wordtris.
Oh, come on.
Now, that's a really terrible title.
The second R is backwards. That's even worse.
Okay, now I'm just terrified. I was intrigued.
Now I'm terrified.
Now I'm scared.
Find a copy. What? Find a copy. I can't. My words.
You have to play the game to get better at words.
You're right. Find a copy of this puzzle Tetris offshoot called Wordtris and play it along with us this week.
Drop all the Wordtrisses you want in Discord. It's Discord is a chat server thing for gamers, and we have
one. That makes it sound really fun. Chat server thing. People are like, how do I find this?
Yeah, it's the hot item on the market right now. It's free, and we have a server. So if you go to ngppodcast.com and click join us in Discord, you can join us in Discord and Wordtris all day.
All the TikTokers are doing it, so
yeah,
do it.
We're the top.
Everything you said makes me want to sign off of the service forever. Thank you to those of you who support our show on patreon.com. We're so appreciative. If that's not you, you certainly have the opportunity to join us as a patron, and you would join the ranks of some of our favorite people in the world, like our wonderful director Garlisle, our producers Amarlian, Austin, Ben, Brojim, Carrie, David, Dear Baby, Francesca, Corey, Maxima, Shauna, and Zion. We are so thankful that you guys are entertained enough by what we do to show us some support. So thank you so much.
Thank you for enjoying our adult entertainment. You can also find us on our social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. YouTube, in which our weekly episodes go live. All of those links are in our show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, leave a kind rating and review. This episode was edited and produced by our good friend Tom Tate. Join us next week as we play Wordtress. Man, until then, I'm still Dustin.
I'm Kenny.
Yo.
And this has been an anime episode of New Game Plus.
Do we have a Weebs Only account?
Stand back on.
Let's start. And X. Dustin. Weeb. Shaman King. Shaman King. Shaman.